Denver Broncos pass rusher Nik Bonitto is off to a psychotic start to the 2025 NFL season. How fun is this dude to watch right now? No one in pro football is getting after the quarterback quite like Nik Bonitto. And his latest chapter that he wrote on Monday Night Football was another absolute doozy. And because of his start and where I think this season is going, I actually believe genuinely Nik Bonitto could go and win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. I want to talk about why here in about 7 seconds. Guys, thank you for being here. Smash that subscribe button. We have surpassed 750 subscribers. We just started doing videos on Labor Day. Thank you so much. Remember to drop me those comments after this video, and I'd love to interact with you there. Like this video. You know the algorithm loves all that stuff. All right, so Bonitto, this dude, he is on one. The eye test, you don't even need the stats or the advanced stats. The eye test is telling you this dude wakes up in the morning and guzzles unleaded gasoline and pisses jet fuel. Tackles just do not stand a chance staying in front of this guy, especially when, and this happened several times on Monday Night Football, when the play clock is running down and these opposing quarterbacks can't be deceptive with their snap count. When he knows it's coming, this dude is off the line of scrimmage quicker than a hiccup. Very reminiscent, and you don't want to get carried away, but very reminiscent of a young Von Miller, right? That's the sort of callback and flashbacks that you're getting, that I'm getting when I'm watching Nik Bonitto play football. On Monday night, 6 pressures, 1.5 sacks, all right? This dude is pressuring quarterbacks at a rate that we've never seen. And I actually mean that in terms of recent memory. Guys, his 31% pressure rate is the highest pressure rate of any player since Next Gen Stats started tracking pressure data back in 2018. Guys, it's 2025. So this dude is just a freakazoid right now, and he's so fun to watch. He is second in the NFL right now in sacks by a half sack, 4.5 in 4 games. The only 2 players that have a half sack more is Brian Burns with 5 for the New York Giants and Byron Young for the Los Angeles Rams. That's it. That's the distance separating Nik Bonitto for being number 1 in the NFL in that category. And then you look at in terms of past Defensive Player of the Year winners. Guys, so often they are the players that get after the quarterback. The Pat Surtains, that's the anomaly. That's the once in a generation. And I mean that literally. Like in my head, I have once in a generation, about once in every 10 years. PS2, and along with 2 other cornerbacks, Stephon Gilmore and Rod Woodson, those are the only cornerbacks to win Defensive Player of the Year in the last 30 years. Right? You think about the names that win Defensive Player of the Year historically. It's the J.J. Watts, the T.J. Watts, the Nick Bosas, the Terrell Suggs, the Myles Garrett. It's the guys who get after the passer. And Bonitto's doing that as good as anyone else in pro football right now. Also, look at the odds. Now, I love following this stuff, okay? If you pulled up the odds on DraftKings on August 1st, Nik Bonitto was 60-1 to win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. 60-1, all right? And I know that's still new to some people, so real simple. If you bet $1 on August 1st for Nik Bonitto to win Defensive Player of the Year, and then he went and did it, you would win $60 in addition to your $1 stake back, all right? $2 would be $120. $100 would be $6,000 in winnings. And I will tell you, I am a proud holder of a Nik Bonitto 60-1 ticket. But that price is no longer available. And it hasn't been for a while because I started to see a real shift after the first preseason game of the year. Do you remember that game? It was on August 9th, and it was the San Francisco 49ers. Sean Payton only played the starters for a few plays, but Nik Bonitto in the first preseason game actually took over an entire series for the Niners. And the next day, when I woke up on August 10th, Bonitto was no longer 60-1. He had dropped to 40-1. After his blistering start to the 2025 season, after 4 games, you know what it currently is right now? 15-1. 15-1. The only players that have a higher likelihood or probability or odds to win Defensive Player of the Year are Aiden Hutchinson, Micah Parsons, and Myles Garrett. That's it. He's got 3 people with a better chance right now in front of him. And personally, and again, I already told you I have a ticket on this. I think at 15-1, it's still worth betting, truly. You may regret, maybe not, in 3 weeks if he's 6-1, 5-1, because he continues to take over games. And you know what doesn't hurt in terms of him being in the mix down the stretch of the season is performing at the highest level in prime time. It comes with a like a weighted measurement, and you would like to think otherwise, but these are human beings voting, right? We've seen this for generations. People are busy; they're covering their own teams and da. But when you have a standalone game on Monday Night Football, or in this case, splitting it with just one other matchup for most of the evening, like that's going to just garner more attention and more conversation. And Bonitto has already gone through what I have called historically the awareness period. So someone like Myles Garrett never had to go through an awareness period because he's the number 1 pick in the draft. Same thing for Von Miller. You're nearly a top pick in the draft. But for Bonitto, when you're the last pick in the second round, you actually have to enter the consciousness of the entire NFL community who might not be a Bronco fan or might not be an Oklahoma Sooner fan where he played. And he did that a year ago when he was 3rd in the NFL in sacks and did play well in those primetime games. And NFL fans say, yeah, I know Nik Bonitto. I saw him on Scott Van Pelt after Monday Night Football. Yeah, I saw him on Pat McAfee. Like, he's already got that in his rear view, okay? And so now he can go out and reach out and snatch the award if he continues to play at this high of a level, all right? So you prorate his sacks. I mean, he could be approaching 20 sacks if he continues this pace, all right? And I also want to talk about the history of, because you might be asking yourself, hey, well, Pat Surtain just won Defensive Player of the Year. Like, what's the likelihood? They're not going to give it to a Bronco in 2 straight years. There is precedent in more than one occasion. Go back to the early 2000s. Ray Lewis wins Defensive Player of the Year in 2003. His teammate Ed Reed wins Defensive Player of the Year in 2004. Go back to the 1990s. Bryce Pupp for the Buffalo Bills wins Defensive Player of the Year in 1995. His teammate Bruce Smith, the all-time sack leader in NFL history, he wins Defensive Player of the Year in 1996. Go back to the 70s. Believe it or not, the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1974, 75, 76 had 3 different Defensive Player of the Years in 3 consecutive years in Joe Green, Mel Blount, and Jack Lambert. So not only has it happened, it's happened a few times in NFL history where a team has produced back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year that were 2 different people. So if Nik Bonitto keeps it up, I believe he will squarely be in these conversations when the weather gets colder. Guys, thanks again for being here. Don't forget, smash that subscribe button. All right, drop me those thoughts in the comments. Would love to interact with you there. And always like this video. Again, the algorithm loves that stuff, and that means I love it too. Appreciate you guys being here. You will hear more from me tomorrow.